fighting them.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's...
The doll scene. This is owie owie. You guys missed that. You still want them?
I don't know. That stuff is...
Your tax, there was no tax on my ship. So I sailed in the tropics for 14 years. A lot of it down in French Oceania.
Do you know how they call this place is around Noseville? They call it the Belt Bible.
Oh,
The
here,
Bible
The
Belt.
Bible Belt.
The Belt Bible.
I was catching on to Belt Bible. I thought there was a better handle than Bible Belt. It's pretty scary. What can I say? My thoughts? No one was writing anything. There were no typewriters. There wasn't a lot of paper hanging around, and not a whole pile of people were taught how to write, whatever the language is, whatever form the writing, cuneiform, tablets. So, who can say what's true? But of course, isn't that what Pontius Pilate said? What is truth, said Justine Pilate? They would not stay for the answer. Religious areas and fundamentalism are very scary words. Whether you're a Muslim, Catholic, a Methodist, Baptist, but how can there be so many different religions and only one God? Doesn't make sense to me. It's Nashba. There's either one or there's none. So what we have effectually done is divided ourselves up, and you belong to that group, I belong to this group, and we're going to kick the shit out of you. And then 2,000 years later, you can kick the shit out of us. I'm suspicious of Bibles. Who pays for those big mosques? Who pays for this towering of money? God doesn't.
So you're not really familiar with the reading of the Bible, in a way. You're not Buddhist, you can say.
I'm quite familiar with all the Bible, including the parts that are not printed in the Bible from other Gospels. I studied it. Certainly Christian. I believe there was a Christ called Jesus. I don't think he was immaculately born. I think he just happened to be one of the few over the hundreds of thousands of years who touched the part of his brain and let him know what everyone else had forgotten. What was in your mother's womb? What were you in as a little fetus? As a small baby? Water. Different fetuses. A cow, a chicken, a pig, a person, even a snake. At a certain moment, they all with gills. They're not functioning gills. Several hundred years ago, they get whacked right out the door, as it were. Now people tend to be a little bit nicer about it, sew up the gills and take the tail off. 2 billion years ago might have been 1.7 billion years ago. And the porpoises went back. I wanted the dolphins. They went back. What do they know that we don't know? But we all came out of the water. In my mind, I don't think we've moved much smaller than, or much further than a few inches, maybe 100 centimeters. And we fell right on our ass. And we've been making up a word called civilization ever since. There's nothing civilized about us. The world will shake us off like dead fleas. People who go out and postulate to save the planet. The planet's going to go along just like everything else in astrophysics. It'll shake us off like dead fleas. We have to figure ourselves. In Manila Bay, for example, or sometimes around in the South China Sea with too many people on board, what happens? You know, you read about the papers, it all tips over. 1,000 people die. You have to look at who's volunteering to get off. It's like the story about the 10 women who are, they're mountain climbers, and the pitons have come ping, 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 and now they're all in one line, and they know they have too much weight. And they're all blondes except the one at the bottom of the line. And they realize they have to get rid of some weight. And the brunette at the bottom says, well, I will sacrifice for the many. She lets go, and all the blondes applaud. No? Religion has not got a name to it. It's not morality. No one should be dictating. There should be no moral laws. It's an oxymoron to have a moral law. Law and morality don't go together as far as I'm concerned. And I think I'm not alone. But to tell the truth, I don't really give a rat's ass whether I'm alone or not. I like where I am. I'm satisfied where I am, who I am, what I am, by knowing the planet, the whole planet. The deserts and the beautiful trees like this. We're working over here. Foolish.
But did you ever meet?
I mean, somebody who was abusive to young people?
Yeah.
Count. Said yeah. Sometimes they're only a few years older than I was, sometimes they're American. But I was convinced to do the film, even though I'm very much opposed to the violence, because somebody has to understand that it happens. It has to face the truth. It has to realize the origins and how it becomes institutionalized and all of that. And I don't have time to do it, so a movie can do it much better. We'll hope that many more people look at this movie and understand the value of the story. The value of the story of violence in children. That's an oxymoron. The beauty with morality is literal logic. We don't have the ability to see that. No wonder we pollute the air, we chuck down the trees. The orangutans are disappearing. Wow. I mean, I don't feel good for the orangutans. But you mean nobody thought they were going to disappear? This would lead me to think that we probably don't think we're going to disappear. We read about them in different ways of looking at the earth and what it holds, its mysteries it tells us, or it doesn't. We're going to be gone. Maybe we'll last 1 million years. Maybe we'll only last another 50,000 years, if life can exist. Because, mind you, we have already overloaded the bus. Neutron bomb just takes people out. The front porch is perfect. Society has to learn on its own, has to do by itself. Some so-called learned people think that maybe we'll last 40,000 years. By that time we'll evolve into something totally different, or we will have disappeared from the planet. I have no disillusionments, no illusions of saving myself for a later date when some dude's going to come out and say, okay, everybody, up and at 'em. We've been taking apart mummies for a few years now. What up and at 'em?
What happened?
Yes, what about that? We see what happens to the bodies we put in lead-lined caskets so the worms won't get to them. How foolish. First people in this continent, the Native Americans are called, they put their dead up on a stake, on a high area, so the birds could eat the flesh. In the Jewish religion, you literally out in a sheet and put into the ground, so you will decompose faster. This is more interesting thinking. When my father died, in his will, he said I wanted to be cremated and thrown out with the garbage. My sister and I had a conversation about it, and I said, well, that sounds like Dad, except for one thing. It would have sounded more like Dad if he said, bury me, take the ashes, and put it in the compost pit so I can help build new plants, new things to grow. the tree drops in the forest, it takes maybe 150 years for it to become the forest ground again. You can see it sometimes that it's there. Take a knife and scrape, and you might get down the heart of the tree, which by the way is dead, and was while the tree was growing. When it becomes all gone, it becomes earth again. Maybe that's reincarnation. My thoughts on reincarnation are very simple. What it once banged bigly and spread itself out over the miasma will all gather again eventually and bang out again. That's reincarnation. It's just most people want to know it's going to be in a few years, not in a gazillion years. I'm satisfied with a gazillion years. It's irrelevant.
Can you apply the theory of
Have the nerve to revolt. I wouldn't mind a revolution. Part of our Declaration of Independence. It was suggested by Thomas Jefferson that if it really wasn't going along the way it should as a representative democracy, it's time to throw it out. But he also advises that forming a government is not an easy task. A government. Are we going to watch what happens in California and decide what we do about that? We're focused very narrowly. In the long run, who gives a shit? California is going to dump itself in the ocean. It's dying. It's full of people with dying ideas. Every now and then somebody tries to break through with a wonderful song, idea, thought, and they're immediately beaten back. Maybe our musicians are the only ones that can keep us together. But as far as a revolution is concerned, there's too much information, too many ways to get to it, it'll be stopped. The Patriot Act allows you no rights of privacy. People like John Ashcroft would love to take somebody like me down. But that doesn't make me scared. That makes me challenged. How can I get John Ashcroft out of his office and down on the street with just him and me? I'd kick the shit out of him, even with my bad leg. But that wouldn't solve much either, because they'd replace John Ashcroft with the double for Dick Cheney. I have wonders whether in the United States we're going to have elected presidents again, or whether from now on they'll be appointed. It's all, it's an overloaded ferry. It's very simple. We're all overloaded. Somebody says, check that out. We all go to that side, the ferry just tips right up. We all go. Nobody wants to talk about it. But to put it in real hardcore terms, we are producing more things that consume oxygen than we are producing things that produce oxygen. Oxygen is the #1 fuel. Several minutes, 5 to be exact. Without it, fall down, go boom, maybe not get back up again. 10 days without water, fall down, go boom, don't get back up again. But one's days, one's minutes. Well, let's go for the most at the top, O2. This is what we all need as humans to breathe, O2. But if we can't produce it, once banged bigly and spread itself out over the miasma, will all gather again eventually and bang out again. That's reincarnation. It's just most people want to know it's going to be in a few years, not in a gazillion years. I'm satisfied.
Answer.org or any organization that's actually they're fighting the fight, which then the national press will not cover
We have to talk about armed
because it's in so few hands and the
This is why I
diversionary
say-
tactics.
That's why I say
Got it covered.
it's in the communications that we're screwed.
Millions of people.
People
The
trust the
very
media,
thing
that's the
that
problem.
has freed us and that go into all kinds of things to learn the computer will fry us.
Yeah,
all
because they're
computer.
monitoring us.
We monitor each other too.
I never watched the news here anymore.
I talk about it.
But the media's got a self-corrective programming. I mean, a Fox channel, can you
No.
believe it?
Why do you find the Fox channel has the self-corrective mode?
What it does is it runs on itself, and it limits what it will show, no matter what anybody says. There's no, it's just a program that was devised over
It's a very
since the last time
it's a
they
very conservative, radically conservative program.
well they